I'm going to tell you the story of two best friends who grew up obsessed with the ocean. Living in South Florida, Alex and Andrew both decided to save up for the trip of a lifetime, Bali. When they arrived, they stepped off the plane and onto one of the beaches. Looking around, expecting a beautiful view, they were instantly confused when they saw this: a beach full of plastic trash. Upon asking one of the locals why such a beautiful coastline was not kept clean, they were informed that it had been cleaned hours earlier and already looked like this from incoming flow of plastic trash from the ocean. These two men felt they needed to do something to protect our ocean's ecosystem and ultimately started a company called For Ocean, which works to remove trash from the seas. Production and utilization of one-time use plastic products should be decreased to aid in ocean conservation. Today, I'm going to tell you how one-time use plastic products harm our oceanic ecosystems and why use and production needs to be reduced to better protect the ocean and the marine life beneath the waves. First, I'm going to tell you about this overwhelming problem and the negative effects that it produces. So, since it came into popularity in the 1950s, there has been 8.3 billion tons of plastic produced. To conceptualize, this would be about equivalent to 800,000 Eiffel Towers. And of all of this trash, only 9% has been recycled. Furthermore, there is a statistic that by the year 2050, there will be more plastics than fish by weight in the oceans. These are very real and very sad statistics because plastic pollution harms and kills sea animals every day. Most deaths are due to starvation or entanglement. For example, sea turtles confuse plastic bags for jellyfish and end up consuming them whole. Sitting in their stomachs, they think that they're full and end up starving and ultimately dying from not having consumed any real food. Another example is how bigger plastics break down into tiny microplastics and end up hurting the oysters in our bays and our oceans. They disrupt their cells and damage their reproductive organs, which lead them to produce less eggs. So plastic, whole or broken down into tiny microplastics, is hurting our sea animals every day. 1 million sea animals die every year, and 700 species are currently facing extinction. Now, while these are such devastating facts, let's face it, plastic is everywhere. And plastic that is used in products such as helmets and medical supplies is important because it keeps us safe and it saves lives. The belief that may be held by some, though, is it is too expensive or too inconvenient to go plastic-free because of the abundance and where and how it is used. Although plastic reduction may seem intimidating, too costly, or too inconvenient, there are actions the government can take every day and small gestures that can be done by citizens which add up to making a true difference. So, countries such as Kenya, France, and Italy have already put laws, bans, and/or taxes in place on single-use plastic products. This is a prime example of governments doing their part to protect our environments. Despite COVID-19 backsliding some laws and bans in the USA from fear of the virus spreading through reusable items, states such as Oregon are starting to do a small part with bans and taxes to reduce the circulation of single-use products. Maybe not in the near future, but hopefully at some point, with the help of petitions and education, our national government will do more to protect our environment. Citizens can also make a difference by making small gestures every day, which add up to a true difference. The first one is using reusable bags for grocery shopping. These take up virtually no space to keep in your car's trunk and ultimately save so many plastic bags from being used for such a short amount of time. They also reduce the number of trips it takes you to get your groceries from your car to your house. While shopping, you can also opt to buy facial wash without microbeads and buy and use reusable water bottles. In the large packs of plastic water bottles, so many of them end up in our oceans and bodies of water. So using a reusable water bottle is one way to really prevent as much plastic from entering into our seas. While you're out at a restaurant, you can simply ask to not get a straw with your drink, or you can order a reusable one online that stays on your keychain from companies such as For Ocean or Sandstraw, where some of the proceeds go to ocean conservation. This is also a really great option if you're big into smoothies or milkshakes, as they require a straw and could prevent one more plastic straw from potentially entering our oceans. Finally, you can recycle. As it is, less than 14% of single-use plastic items are recycled, so recycling responsibly and correctly can help raise this number and reduce the amount of plastic that ends up in our seas. These plastic items that seem so harmless to us end up turning deadly once they enter the seas for our sea animals. So by performing these actions every day, sea animals will silently be thanking you. By reducing use of single-use plastic, you may have just prevented a sea animal from harm or death. If that's not enough, you may have just cut down on feeding microplastic to a fish that may end up on your dinner plate later. As disturbing as this sounds, if it was your bottle in the first place and it wasn't disposed of correctly, you just fed yourself microplastic. Small actions taken by people to be mindful of single-use plastic, whether that is not getting a straw with a drink, using reusable bags at the grocery store, or even using a reusable water bottle, can save our oceans and sea life. Taking care of our ocean environments and the life within it is so important. And if we don't, our beach vacation memories may look a little different in years to come.